Okay, we're going to what's happening deep inside our bodies, especially concerning diet, hormones, and overall health. All right, so today we're going to talk about my face before keto and intermittent fasting. Don't use it to judge or diagnose strangers. Instead, if you see someone struggling with these signs, perhaps the kindest thing is to share resources that empower them with the knowledge to understand what might be going on and make their own informed choices. Resolving these issues is often surprisingly straightforward once you have the right information and address the root dietary causes. I want to share my own journey, looking back at photos of myself before I embraced ketogenic eating and intermittent fasting, and comparing them to how things shifted afterward. It's not just about weight loss, it's about profound internal changes reflecting externally. We'll explore 7 specific clues your face might be giving you about your internal landscape. Think of it as learning to read the subtle signs your body sends. All right, before we dive in, if you're finding this helpful and want more tips like this, go ahead and hit subscribe or follow. That way, you won't miss any future updates. Imagine someone pointing out your puffy eyes and declaring your kidneys are probably struggling. Not cool, right? So, if you find yourself compulsively diagnosing people in public, just do me a solid and pretend you never heard any of this from me. Deal? Okay, great. Let's get into the fascinating stuff. First clue, the overall shape and puffiness of your face. Let's start with the most obvious one, the general shape of the face. If you look at pictures of me from my pre-keto IF days, the difference is quite striking. My face wasn't just a little fuller, it was genuinely round. It had a distinct puffiness, almost like it was retaining water, which it partially was, but it was also carrying excess fat. It looked somewhat swollen, lacking definition around the jawline and cheekbones. That moon face look wasn't just about carrying a few extra pounds overall. It was a direct reflection of what I was consuming and how often. Now, it's important to understand I wasn't living solely on pizza and donuts back then, though admittedly there were phases. I considered myself reasonably health conscious, but my approach was flawed based on outdated nutritional advice. My biggest mistakes? Eating way too frequently and consuming seemingly healthy foods that were actually loaded with sugar, spiking my insulin levels throughout the day. Then perhaps an afternoon snack. And then came the evening grazing. I'd often munch on nuts while watching TV, thinking I was choosing the healthy option over chips or cookies. While nuts can be healthy in moderation, mindless grazing, especially on certain types or large quantities, still contributes to calorie intake and, depending on the nut and what else I ate, could still nudge insulin levels. Second clue, the tissue around your eyes, puffiness and dark circles. All right, moving on to the eye area. Look closely at my before pictures again. Pay attention not just to the eyes themselves, but the delicate skin around them. You can clearly see noticeable puffiness, particularly underneath the eyes, those classic under-eye bags. There was also a degree of darkening, those infamous dark circles that make you look perpetually tired. Even my eyelids seemed a bit thicker, heavier. What's going on here? While some puffiness can be genetic or due to lack of sleep, persistent, significant puffiness, especially under the eyes, combined with that fluid retention look, often points towards the kidneys. Our kidneys are incredible filtration systems, crucial for balancing fluids and electrolytes in the body. However, they are very sensitive to high blood sugar levels and the downstream effects of insulin resistance. Third clue, the appearance of the eyeball itself. Bloodshot eyes. Now let's look directly at the white part of the eye, the sclera. In my before photos, my eyes were frequently bloodshot. Not just a little tired-looking red, but genuinely streaked with red lines looking irritated. For years, I just assumed this was normal for me, maybe due to tiredness or allergies I didn't know I had. While occasional redness can certainly be caused by lack of sleep, irritants, or even specific nutrient deficiencies, like B vitamins, which I've discussed elsewhere, though that's often just scratching the surface. Persistent chronic bloodshot eyes are very often a sign that your liver is under stress. Think about it. The liver is our body's primary detoxification organ. It processes everything we eat, drink, and absorb. When we overload it, particularly with things it struggles to process efficiently like excess sugars, especially fructose, and processed carbohydrates, it has to work overtime. A common consequence of a high-carb, high-sugar diet is the development of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, where fat accumulates in the liver cells, impairing its function. Fourth clue, fat accumulation under the chin. This one is pretty straightforward visually. The dreaded double chin, or just a general lack of definition along the jawline due to fat storage. Where does this come from? It's essentially a sign of fat spillover. When you consistently consume more energy, especially from carbs and fats, than your body burns, it needs to store the excess. The first place your body preferentially stores excess carbohydrates converted to fat is actually inside and around your organs, particularly the liver. This is where fatty liver disease begins. Once the liver's capacity starts getting overwhelmed, the fat begins to spill over and accumulate elsewhere. It contributes to visceral fat, the dangerous fat deep within your abdominal cavity that surrounds your organs, leading to that pot belly, or as I used to call my midsection bulge, a pizza crust. As fat storage continues, it then starts accumulating in more visible subcutaneous areas, including under the chin and around the neck. So that fat under your chin isn't just a localized issue. It's often an external sign that your internal fat storage depots, starting with the liver, are already quite full. Now let's talk about the texture and condition of the skin itself. Our skin can tell us a lot. I personally experienced issues with both excessive oiliness and patches of dry, flaky skin before changing my diet. Clue 5. Oily skin. Now let's talk about the texture and condition of the skin itself. Our skin can tell us a lot. I personally experienced issues with both excessive oiliness and patches of dry, flaky skin before changing my diet. My skin used to be incredibly oily, especially in the T-zone, forehead, nose, chin. I felt like I constantly had a sheen and needed to blot my face throughout the day. What causes this? Oily skin results from overactive sebaceous glands which produce sebum, the skin's natural oil. When these glands go into overdrive, you get that greasy look and feel, often contributing to clogged pores and breakouts. What triggers these glands to become overactive? Very often, it's an excess of androgens. Androgens are typically thought of as male hormones, like testosterone, although women produce them too, just in smaller amounts. When androgen levels become too high, especially relative to other hormones, they stimulate the sebaceous glands. Clue 6. Dry, flaky skin, patches. Paradoxically, while dealing with oily zones, I also had patches of dry, flaky skin, particularly between my eyebrows, within my eyebrows, and sometimes on my forehead. It resembled dandruff, but on my face. This condition, often manifesting as seborrheic dermatitis or simply dry, rough patches, points towards a different kind of imbalance. This type of skin issue is often linked to two primary factors: liver function. As we discussed with bloodshot eyes, a stressed liver struggles with its metabolic tasks, including processing fats properly. This can impact the quality and composition of oils produced by the skin and the overall health of skin cells. Omega fatty acid imbalance. This is a huge one. Modern diets are typically overloaded with omega-6 fatty acids and severely lacking in omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-6s are found abundantly in processed vegetable and seed oils, like soybean, corn, cottonseed, canola oil, used in countless processed foods, fast foods, and salad dressings. While some omega-6 is essential, the ratio is critical. Excessive omega-6 promotes inflammation throughout the body, including the skin. Omega-3s found primarily in fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines, cod liver oil, flax seeds, and chia seeds are anti-inflammatory and crucial for healthy cell membranes, including skin cells. Seventh clue, acne. Let's talk about acne. If you see persistent acne, especially beyond the typical teenage years, it's almost always an internal issue manifesting externally. As a teenager and young adult, I had terrible acne. It wasn't just a few pimples, it was widespread across my forehead and back. It was honestly devastating. It made me incredibly self-conscious, shy, and withdrawn. I remember constantly trying to arrange my hair to hide my forehead, People can be cruel, and being made fun of for your skin is deeply painful. And boy, did I try everything. I scrubbed my face raw, thinking it was caused by dirt or surface oil. I tried countless creams, lotions, and harsh cleansers. Nothing ever truly worked. If anything, the harsh treatments often made it worse by irritating my skin further. If only I had known then what I know now. Acne, particularly the cystic or persistent type, is fundamentally an inflammatory condition heavily influenced by hormones. And just like with oily skin, the primary hormonal driver is often excess androgens, stimulated by, you guessed it, high insulin levels triggered by a high carbohydrate diet. If all this is new to you and you're wondering where to even start with changing your diet, don't feel overwhelmed. There are simple step-by-step ways to begin. I often guide people through a process starting with just understanding the basics of low-carb.keto eating. If you're interested, I can point you towards resources that break it down simply, helping you learn what to eat to start transforming, not just how you look on the outside, but how you feel and function on the inside. It's all about gaining the right knowledge to address the right problem.